Hello, this is Gray Hughes of Gray Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button for me, I would really appreciate it. And share the video and subscribe. Today's video is going to be about the sequencing that occurred in the residence. Now, it's just my theory of who I think Bryan Kohberger killed first. And this is in reference to the Idaho 4 murder case that took place on November 13th, 2022 between 4:08 and 4:20 a.m. in the morning. Ethan Chapin, Xan Kernodle, Madison Mogen, and Kaylee Goncalves were all killed with a large knife. And as we know, a knife sheath was left at the crime scene, and a probable cause document led to the arrest. The information in there led to the arrest of Bryan Kohberger, and when they swabbed his mouth, the DNA from his own body matched the DNA on the knife sheath that was found on the right side of Madison Mogen's body in her bedroom. So Bryan Kohberger was in that house. Now, a lot of people want to make an issue, oh, it's touch DNA, it could have got there anyway, all kinds of different ways. And sure, I mean, touch DNA can travel around. Can you explain how it got on a knife sheath that was left at the crime scene in a 12-minute window while a white Elantra was driving around outside? Now, there's people out there that claim it's a BMW. They always try to, entertain their fans by pretending the vehicle is a different type of vehicle, even though we already know that law enforcement has determined that it was a white Elantra. They first thought it was I believe 2011 to 2013 Elantra, but it turns out that all the way to 2016, so 2011 to 2016, all have the exact same windows, where you can order windows and replace them in all of those years. Law enforcement changed it to 2014 to 16, and the pro-burgers out there believe that the change was made so that it could include his car, but there really isn't a match. That just isn't true. The way it worked was that they actually looked at it and said 2011 to 2013, but then realized that 14, 15, and 16 all have the same windows. Turns out Kohberger was driving in 2015. So if they were really doing that, why didn't they just stop it at 2015, where you could say, oh, look, see, they just added that 1 year. But instead they went to 2016, because that too allows the swapping out of windows. All right, so let's get started here. As you guys remember, right here at 3:26 a.m. on 700 Indian Hill Drive is where the white Elantra is first documented in the probable cause document. And I believe it's right here, this camera. It's just the 700 block, but there's a camera right here on this building. Looks like a Ring camera right there. And I was out in Idaho, and I drove this route, and I timed it. At 3:26, you drive on Indian Hills Drive, and you come up here to Steiner Avenue, and you take a left. And then right when you pass this A&W is at, it would be 3:28. So I timed it where I just started the clock at 3:26, and whatever time you want it to be, you could start it at 4:20 in the afternoon, but you just count the minutes. So if you time it from right here to right here, it passes the A&W at about 3:28 and some odd seconds, just as it states in the probable cause document. And then it says the white Elantra enters the area at around 3:29. So let's show you this video. So after passing the A&W, the vehicle drives on Steiner Avenue, and I'll start the clock here at 3:29 and 31 seconds, and you'll see it drive by right here. That band field is right over, right behind there, right over there. Now look, you'll see a vehicle driving by, and the time it drives by is 3:29 and 49 seconds. And that was a white vehicle that was driving by. Now let's take a look at where that was. There is a camera on this building, is filming down Linda Lane right there. The vehicle's driving by right there at 3:29 and 49 seconds. Now, let's take a look at this video. This video shows it's 3:30 and 26 seconds. So what we're looking at is a vehicle that drove like this, turned, and now is going to be driving slower, comes around, and then makes its way all the way back behind Queen Road. And the camera that you're watching is right here filming back into that little opening there. Okay, and you'll see the car come in and drive by like this. So let's take a look at that video. So here's 3:30, 28 seconds. I'm going to move it forward a little bit. There it is. 3:30 and 50 seconds. So less than a minute, or about a minute after it passed on that camera on Linda Lane, it's driving back here, which is absolutely consistent. There it is, the same white Elantra driving by at 3:31 and 7 seconds. Okay, now what the vehicle is doing is, after driving back around here like this, there's an opening that comes back here. I'll show you that now. Here is the 1122 King Road residence, and then that car will be coming back around like that. So I'm going to move it way up here, and what you're seeing in this picture is walking behind 500 Queen Road, which is right here. Okay, so that vehicle's driving like this, and I'm going to show you by walking back there what the vehicle is doing and where it went. So it comes around and it drives like this, and I think on each loop the car would park in this area and then leave. And here is that walk. I'll speed it up a little bit. So here it is, walking behind. This is where his white Elantra would have been driving. And you can see how steep it is back here. Look how steep that driveway is. That's probably like a 30-degree slope. And then his car would drove just like this. All right. And then when it got here, it went around this corner. And then see how it drives straight up above, and it makes it out at the top of the building, like south of 500 Queen Road in that back parking lot. And this parking lot actually runs into the back of 1122 King Road. So we're still looking at it right here. Let me see if I can make this. I'll make it bigger. There you go. And here we are behind the building, and from above, it's right back here. See that? And then there is 1122 King Road right there. So I think Kohberger had been out there multiple times. As we already know, he'd been out there 11 times prior to that, and I think he scouted the area. Basically, if he parked, see right there? If he had parked right there or right here, look how you can see right into Madison Mogen's bedroom. So I think he eventually parks there. But let's go back to this video. So 3:31, it drives by. And then 3:38, we'll be driving by in just a moment here. Right there, 3:38 and 58 seconds. You can see the light back here. And here it comes. Making another pass. It leaves the entire area and then comes back. It doesn't stay parked behind 112 King Road, 1122 King Road. It actually keeps driving out of the area and then comes back and then loops around. So there it goes. It's going back, doing another pass. And I believe that he's actually checking to see if the lights are still on in the room, because remember, they were still up. Not long before this, Madison and Kaylee were both texting Kaylee's boyfriend to try to get him to come over, but he wouldn't answer. So that's 3:39, 30 seconds. Then the vehicle leaves for a little bit longer this next time. And in fact, when it leaves, it exits and drives all the way over to near this gas station over here, and then drives back. I think there's some video of it on East White Avenue over here. And then eventually it makes its way back to this area, and we see it at around 3:57-ish. So you see the light right there, and I think on this trip around he saw that the lights were off, but he wanted to kill some more time, so he takes off one last time. So there it is. There's the same Elantra, makes exactly the same sound. Law enforcement has already determined it's a white Elantra. Alright, now we know that around 4 o'clock a DoorDash was delivered. And we don't know exactly what time the DoorDash was. So it could have been like, 4:03, 4:04. And maybe when Kohberger drove back here on this, the final and fourth pass, he first doesn't complete it because he sees the vehicle there and turns around. Watch. So here comes the vehicle. Back here, I just sped it up a little bit. It's 4:05 and 31 seconds, 32 seconds. Now look at this time. It actually pulls in right over here. And you can see that it's a white Elantra. So it pulls in back there. And I think he's going to go back and check on to see exactly what was going on back there. At the DoorDash, because he probably saw the lights on in Xana's room, but he had already noticed that the lights were off in Madison's room. All right, now at this point, as you saw, it turned around right there. That's actually mentioned in the probable cause document. All right, so it turns around right there and then leaves. So what you're seeing there is right when it drove back here in front of 500 Queen Road, number 52, it actually mentions that in the probable cause, turns around right here, and then it drives this way, and it apparently tries to turn around or park right in this area. And they can probably tell that based on lights that are moving around in the background over here, and maybe the sound the vehicle's making. But then it drove this direction and does a 3-point turn and then drives back around back here to complete its fourth pass. And you'll see that. So it's 4:06 and 18 seconds. It's now driving. It's going to try to turn around or park, etc. And then it does a 3-point turn. And then let's just move it forward. At 4:07 and 20 seconds, you can start seeing the lights of the vehicle coming back around here. And it's moving much quicker this time. He's decided this is the time I'm going to do it. So look, there it goes around. And look at it, it's 4:07 and 38 seconds. All right, so based on that, you would think that it probably parked right out over here at about 4:08. And now this is where I think that Kohberger did some blood spatter mitigation. That he parked the car, put a plastic bag, maybe a couple plastic bags outside the vehicle, and maybe even a change of clothing on top of that bag, or a different, like 2 different bags, and then some clothing on top of another bag. And he puts it there, and then by like 4:09 or something like that, could even be later, 4:10, he goes into the house. And the way he goes into the house, if we go back to this video, and let's go to the beginning of it, where you can see right here. So he would park right there and just walk down this gate right here. Fence wasn't there at the time. So he could just walk down this hill onto this slab over here, and then through the sliding glass door into the kitchen. Now let's take a look at the probable cause document. Dylan Mortensen stated she originally went to sleep in her bedroom on the southeast side of the second floor. Dylan Mortensen stated she was awoken at approximately 4 a.m. by what she stated sounded like Goncalves playing with their dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms. Was that merely Kaylee's dog Murphy hearing a car pull up outside and barking and moving around. Is that what they heard? It could be that Kohberger's already up there, but it's not at 4 o'clock because we already just showed you that at 4:08 is when the vehicle's driving behind. So it does say approximately 4 a.m. So it could be any time, 3:55. It could be 4:12. It doesn't. We don't know because it's approximately 4 a.m. and there's no reason for people to look at their clocks at that time. You just sort of hear something and you vaguely remember it was around a certain time. So she thought it sounded like Goncalves playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms, which was located on the second floor. A short time later, Dylan Mortensen said she heard who she thought was Goncalves say something to the effect of, "There's someone here." A review of records obtained from a forensic download of Kernodle's phone showed this could have also been Kernodle, as her cellular phone indicated she was likely awake and using TikTok app at approximately 4:12 a.m. Now you notice they don't say 4:12 to another time. So 4:12, is that when it stopped being used? So you might take a look at this and say, well, if the car parked at 4:08, they didn't go into the house till like 4:10 or so. Could Xan Kernodle and Ethan Chapin been killed first? And I think it actually makes sense that they were killed first. So here's the model of the house that I built. And let's say right here, this is Xan Kernodle's room. And this is just after, the front door of the house is down below here. I'll just start there. So this is entering the home, and this is downstairs, so it's almost irrelevant. Then you go up these stairs here, and this is the living room. And then right there is Xan Kernodle's room. Now, right through there, on the left, is the kitchen. So is it possible that Xan, after getting her DoorDash, maybe even saw somebody going up the stairs at like 4:12 and said, "Hey, there's somebody here"? Then that's Kohberger. Then he turns around, comes back, and he attacks Xan and Ethan in the room area over here. And he attacks him. I can go into the room, so it's in this small room, and that's the entrance. So he follows him in there, and he attacks them, and he thinks he's killed both of them. But his main target is Madison Mogen. So he goes upstairs. Let me get back to... So this right there on the left is Dylan Mortensen's room. I just kind of go in there and then come out. Now, right there to the left of the stairs going up, and at the top is Kaylee Goncalves' room on the left. And this is a walkthrough video that I made. And then right there on the right is Madison Mogen's room. So he would have came up those stairs, went into Madison Mogen's room, and then he was sort of startled to see that Kaylee was in there too. And maybe he attacks Madison first, and then Kaylee tried to get up and fight, and then he attacked her as well. And then a knife sheath was left, whether intentionally or accidentally, on the bed. Then he goes down the stairs like this, and he hears whimpering. And then he goes forward into the living room and goes back into Xana's room. And that's when, he says, "It's okay, I'm here to help." Right? Now let's take a look at the probable cause document portions again. Dylan Mortensen stated she looked out of her bedroom but did not see anything when she heard the comment about someone being in the house. Dylan Mortensen stated she opened her door a second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Kernodle's room. Dylan Mortensen then said she heard a male voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Now, logic dictates that that wasn't Ethan Chapin. That the person who said that was the killer, and I think it was Bryan Kohberger, after he heard Xana still alive, whimpering, knowing that she could be a witness, went into that room again, and maybe even Xana was standing up trying to get out, and he stabbed her again, but he tried to comfort her at first so she wouldn't scream, and then she collapsed and hit the ground. So Dylan Mortensen stated she opened her door a second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Kernodle's room. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Dylan Mortensen then said she heard a male voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." So at that point, Bryan Kohberger, the killer, heard the crying and then went into the area saying, "It's okay, I'm here to help you, I'm going to help you," to make it so that she wouldn't scream. And then she was attacked. And then you can hear right here in this next portion, it says at approximately 4:17 a.m., a security camera located at 1112 King Road, a residence immediately to the northwest of 1122 King Road, picked up distorted audio of what sounded like voices or a whimper, followed by a loud thud. See, and that's him attacking her, and she hits the ground. A dog can also be heard barking numerous times starting at 4:17 a.m. The security camera is less than 50 feet from the west wall of Kernodle's bedroom. All right, and let's take a look here. Let me go a little bit down here, probably, yeah, maybe right there. So that's the front of the house. That's 1112 King Road that has a security camera on it. You can see how close it is. So I'm going to move it to right here. Now if we zoom in, let me try to zoom in like this. That was a security camera at the time, and it's very close to the wall of Xan Kernodle's room. So if we just go a little bit further down and maybe just kind of zoom in like this. See, that wall right there is Xan Kernodle's room, and the camera's right there, so it was picking up this audio. And then down here it says, Dylan Mortensen stated she opened her door for a third time after she heard the crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. Dylan Mortensen described the figure as 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. The male walked past Dylan Mortensen as she stood in a frozen shock phase. The male walked towards the back sliding glass door. Dylan Mortensen locked herself in her room after seeing the male. This leads investigators to believe that the murderer left the scene. I mean, it absolutely makes sense. So after the killer came walking by like this, that's the living room, and this is Dylan Mortensen's room to the right, then they would have turned left. They would have taken a right. So this is just me coming down the stairs, but if you came out from that living room area after killing Xana for the second time, he thought he had killed her the first time. He goes out through the kitchen and through the sliding glass door and then back up to this area. So he comes running out onto this patio, comes running up the hill here, and this is where he does the blood spatter mitigation. He takes off his bloody clothing and keeps his gloves on the whole time, and at the very end takes his gloves off. Then he puts the gloves and the bloody clothing inside a plastic bag, and then he takes that plastic bag and puts it inside of another plastic bag. Perhaps he changes into the clothing that he had sitting there, and then he puts the bag in his car and he takes off. Now there is about 16 minutes of missing time on the drive back, because what we do know is that at 4:48 his phone pinged down in this area near Blaine, Idaho. Okay, so he turned his phone on when he felt like he was safe enough and far enough away from the town at 4:48. However, at 3:31, if you just continually drove from the crime scene, you'd be right here. So you're missing like 16, 17 minutes of time. And that's something where we feel, most people that watch my channel believe that that's the time frame that he discarded the clothing and some whatever other items he was trying to get rid of, maybe even the knife itself. Now, do you guys think that the knife sheath was left intentionally at the crime scene as a calling card? Not a signature, but a calling card. Perhaps he was going to continue to kill other people and leave something at the crime scene. Now, another theory inside the house would be that when he came in, he went upstairs immediately and killed Madison, and then he also killed Kaylee up there. You know, took 2-3 minutes. Then he comes down the stairs, and then he kills Xana and Ethan after he heard their voices. And then he realized, oh wow, where's my knife sheath? Then he goes back upstairs, and he doesn't find it. He can't find the knife sheath. Although, you know, when the police got there, they said they could just see it sitting on the bed. So if Kohberger went up there looking for it, why didn't he just see it? So then he didn't find it, so he goes down the stairs, and that's when he hears the whimpering of Xana, and he goes in there and he says, it's okay, I'm going to help you. And then he kills her, and then there's a thud when she hits the ground, and then he leaves the house and goes up and again deploys the blood spatter mitigation and gets in his vehicle and he drives away. All right, so let me know in the comments what you guys think, but I think that Xan Kernodle very possibly could have been killed first. Could have, you know, might have been Ethan or Xana, but I think it's that, you know, the sequence could be, you know, Ethan and Xana, then Madison, Mogen, and Kaylee, then back downstairs to kill Xana again. You know, he thought he killed her the first time, so it's not like he killed her again, but she survived his first attack. And then he leaves the house and he drives away. And that's what I think is what happened. All right. So anyways, I hope you guys appreciate the video, or at least found it interesting. I always think it's interesting to try to figure out, based on the facts of a case, you know, the one thing that sort of throws it off a little bit is if, you know, when she heard the dog, it seemed like it was wrestling. If that's when the attack happened, then that would suggest that Madison and Kaylee were first, because they aren't going to be the people who said, hey, there's somebody here. You know, they're already being attacked, apparently, when the playing with the dog sound happens. So you wouldn't say that. So that would have to be Xana saying that. And then that would mean that Kohberger probably heard that and went downstairs, and then maybe they were even sort of at the base of the stairs looking up or something when Kohberger's coming down, and then chases them into the room with the knife and kills them, etc. We just don't know exactly, but put in the comments section what you think is likely what happened in the way you think about it. You know, I'm just coming up with what I think based on the probable cause document, but there are things that make you go, well, it could be like this or like that. But I also think that the knife sheath was a calling card that he left there intentionally. And if he ordered that specifically by itself off of Amazon, I think that's probably what he was going to be doing in the future as well in other cases. I think he was a serial killer in the making that they caught before he was ever able to do any more killing. All right, well, thank you all very much for watching the video. Please hit that like button, share the video, subscribe, and leave me a comment in the comments section and let me know what you think. But please just hit the like button. It seems like that's always such a struggle to get people to do. So if you can do that, I would appreciate it. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there.